Whenever we talk of rape, the whole narrative of the average Indian woman that we're talking about, who needs to be protected, this refers to a certain kind of woman only. Who is this woman? Can any of you tell me? Who are we talking about when we are talking about women, the average Indian women, who needs to be protected from rape? Okay. So it's, she is middle class, she is young, she is able-bodied, she is Hindu, she is upper caste, she is heterosexual, she is married or marriageable. So normally when people talk of average woman, the normal woman, this is the category that they are talking about. They are not talking about Dalit women, tribal women, Christian women, Muslim women, sexual minority, lesbian women or transgendered women. They are not talking about differently abled women. They are not talking about diverse women. So there are a lot of women who are totally sought to be excluded from this whole category because they are themselves seen to be outside. This is how patriarchy operates.
Geeta Charusivam is a social activist involved with various movements for more than 20 years. She is associated with the feminist movement, Autonomous Women's Conferences, and the Indian Association of Women's Studies. It is an organization set up in the 80s to infuse ideas of gender equality into mainstream education. She also had long-term affiliations with the Dalit movement, environmental movement, rationalist movement, and secular humanist movement. Currently, she is associated with Makkal Mandram. And today she is here to speak on rape culture and moral policing. We welcome you, ma'am.
Friends, good afternoon. We've been having a very good session since the morning. We've been having different sessions. The earlier ones were on science, which was also very interesting. And then we had the gender session. And it's really good to see you young students here in NIT taking up social issues which are very deeply entrenched in society. And we need to, there are so many assumptions and presumptions about a lot of things. We need to, at every point of time, stop, investigate, think about it, and try to change things, which we find very problematic. Today I'm going to talk to you about rape culture and moral policing. We did see an earlier presentation also which was about rape culture and how women can defend themselves. What I will be presenting here is going to be a bit more deeper than that. We are going to look into it in a more academic and scientific manner, also to see how and what makes rape culture in our society. Ashwin pointed out one thing very beautifully. He said that when young girls go to school these days, their parents, they accompany them to the school. One of them, either the mother or the father, drops them in the school. And then in the evening, before the school leaves, the parent is again at the gate to make sure that the child is brought back home safe. In my presentation, and I want to have an interactive session, I would like us all to examine why this is so. Why is there so much insecurity? Why is it that the parents are afraid of sending the children, especially the girl child, alone? What are the reasons that cause such conditions, such a situation in our society? That is what we are going to talk about now when we are talking about rape culture and moral policing. So these two terms themselves are very, very contentious. These are two very contentious issues, and when I say this, I know a lot of people would be, some of us may agree that yes, rape culture exists. Yes, moral policing is happening in our society. But there would be a lot of people who would say, no, absolutely not. This is some feminist, bogey that the feminists are trying to create. And they are trying to do all these things which are against Indian culture. They are trying to divide us. They are trying to break us. And they're not looking at the real cause. We will actually see what the real cause is now. So what is culture? First is, when we are saying rape culture, why do we call it a culture? So what is culture? There are a certain set of definitions. So there are certain, definitions for culture. Macmillan Dictionary gives the definition of culture as, it is a society that has its own set of ideas, beliefs, and ways of behaving. My question is, do you believe, I would like a response from you, do you believe that there is a rape culture in India? Yes? Yes? All of you think it is there? You can have a different opinion also. No. Okay, fine. So some feel, and especially the women, the girls, they feel, yes, there is a rape culture in India. But the others, they feel that it is not so. So mostly when you talk about rape culture, when you ask people, the unanimous opinion would be no, there's no such thing. But I would say yes, there is something like a rape culture. It is inherently our society's ideas of how a woman should be, its beliefs about women, and these in turn create, ways of behaving for a rapist. So there are certain actions by the rapist which happen because society accepts it. So this is what we are going to talk about when we are talking about rape culture. So there is the anthropological definition of culture also, which says that there is a range of human phenomena that cannot be directly attributed to genetic inheritance. So when we say this, it immediately means that rape is not something which is biological. It is not something which has come about in our genes. It's something which we are culturally conditioned on and socialized into. In India, if we look at this statistics of sexual violence and violence against women and children, that's absolutely, frightening. 26 minutes, every 26 minutes, one woman is molested. Every 34 minutes, one woman rape takes place of a woman. And every 43 minutes, one woman is abducted. Apart from this, there are 7,200 children, both boys and girls, who are raped every year. So this is something that should cause us very, very serious concern. So what is rape culture? Let's just get to the crux of the matter. Rape culture is an environment in which rape and violence against women is prevalent because we tend to normalize certain things. A lot of things are excused. They are normalized in media, in popular culture. Rape culture is perpetuated through the use of misogynistic language, objectification of women's bodies, also glamorization of sexual violence. This creates a society where women's rights, women's safety, these are not given importance. These are not thought to be important. The set of norms, attitudes, and practices that we have in society, they trivialize, they normalize, they tolerate, and they condone rape. I would like to emphasize this again. Our practices, they tolerate, they trivialize, they normalize, and even condone rape, despite being against rape. Legally, yes, we have laws in place which says rape is a crime. We have people all the time talking about, all the leaders saying that these kind of heinous crimes against women, these are very bad. This is not just affecting women, it is giving India a bad name, it's giving the whole of Indian society a bad name. All those things are there. We are nominally against rape, yes. But in practice, it is our very own, cultural beliefs, our cultural systems that we put in place that contribute to more and more rape on women. It is the socialization of believing, both men and women believe, that sex is related to violence. That sexual violence is a fact of life. They believe it is to be very inevitable as death or taxes. And they feel that there cannot be anything sexual without violence. This is a part of conditioning which we have grown up with. Then there is this notion of masculinity, in which men have unbridled sexual desires, which they cannot control. And women have to be sexually available to them. If women are not available, then they will go on raping women. This is another notion which is, it sounds absurd when we are talking about it like this, but this is there in our society. There is also the normalization of rape of poor women. A lot of prostitution and trafficking takes place in our society, and it is believed that if these women are not there, then middle class women would be raped. So these are the buffer between the middle class women and their respectability and all those, men who cannot control themselves. Also the men who go to these prostitutes, who buy them, that is treated as very normal and natural. We don't see anything wrong in it. There's a common attitude of, most of the luminaries, most of the celebrities, every important person that you see, whether they are politicians or bureaucrats or police officers or even judges, or then persons of in places of influence and authority, all have these very common attitudes. One, as Geeta said in the morning, men will be men. This is, trivializing all kinds of crimes committed by men on women, just getting away with it, saying men will be men. Or saying girls from respectable families would be raped if prostitutes did not exist in society. I mean, these are the kinds of attitudes that all, or even people who speak out from public platforms, they keep doing it on a daily basis. Then you have songs, you have lyrics, you have music, television serials, laws, words, imagery, everything that makes violence against women and sexual coercion seem very, very normal part of life. There have been serials, I think, in almost every languages where a rape is shown and then the victim is shown being married off to the rapist. So this kind of, continuously beaming these kind of images, what are we teaching our children? What we are telling them? So right from a small age, you're telling them that this is right, this is correct, or this is justice. Is it? There's also the media's constant glossing over of sexual assault using, very inappropriate language. Something very serious would have happened, but then the language they use is inappropriate behavior, sexual misconduct, or outraging modesty. IPC even now has this section which doesn't talk about sexual harassment or anything. It says outraging modesty of a woman. And there have been some court judgments in which the judges have said that children cannot be raped or their modesty cannot be outraged because children don't have the concept of modesty is not associated with children. So children don't have modesty, it cannot be outraged. So the person, the rapist or the violator, the sexual molester, he is let off. Then you also have eroticization and romanticization of rape in popular culture without showing the negative side effects on the victim. It's a very intimate, very personal crime against women. She is bodily violated. She is forced against her will. And all these kind of things have a lasting trauma on her. She faces a lot of emotional problems. A lot of times she's been physically attacked and then that also takes time to recover. There could be many incidents which trigger, the moment somebody says the word rape, that could be a trigger forever, for life. None of these things are ever shown in any of the films where rape is portrayed. It's very, very, glorified. And again, that is a kind of trivialization. That is a kind of glamorization of sexual violence, which leads to these kinds of crimes. Also, another notion is, only certain kind of rape is treated as real rape, where there is a male stranger who attacks a younger female. Secondly, there should be penile vaginal penetration. This was, for a long time, till recently, till the Sexual Assault Act has been passed, this was the legal definition of rape. So man could get away with a lot of things, but this clause of rape would not be invoked because this penile vaginal penetration was not there. Also, a large amount of force is used. These three things are present, then it is treated as real rape. If these three things are not there, then it's not important because it's not rape at all. The way society sees rape is something very closely linked to chastity and honor. And that is why the younger woman and the older male. So when it happens with somebody else, like gay men are being raped, or transgender people are being raped, or young boys and girls are being raped and molested or sexually assaulted, women prostitutes are being raped, or date rapes are happening, or marital rapes take place, none of these are, seen as rape. Society doesn't see it as rape. Also, rape becomes an issue. Whenever we talk of rape, the whole narrative of the average Indian woman that we're talking about, who needs to be protected, this refers to a certain kind of woman only. Who is this woman? Can any of you tell me? Who are we talking about when we are talking about women, the average Indian women, who needs to be protected from rape? Okay. So it's, she is middle class, she is young, she is able-bodied, she is Hindu, she is upper caste, she is heterosexual, she is married or marriageable. So normally when people talk of average woman, the normal woman, this is the category that they are talking about. They are not talking about Dalit women, tribal women, Christian women, Muslim women, sexual minority, lesbian women or transgendered women. They are not talking about differently abled women. They are not talking about divorced women. So there are a lot of women who are totally sought to be excluded from this whole category because they are themselves seen to be outside. This is how patriarchy operates. There is, when Geeta was talking in the morning also, she spoke about patriarchy. And this is exactly how patriarchy operates. Patriarchy has this code of conduct for women and for men. So the sexual code of conduct is that women should always remain under women's sexuality, her labor, her reproduction, all these things should always remain under the control of men. And where does this happen? Where the woman is married, where the woman is marriageable. So the moment you say she is a divorced woman or a single woman or a lesbian woman, then she is chosen to go outside that box of patriarchy. So her rape is not an issue. Similarly, rape of Dalit and Adivasi women. We've seen so many cases of Adivasi women being raped, Dalit women being raped. There, even the village panchayat, they get together and then they say and discuss, okay, fine, we will pay you a compensation of 200 rupees or 500 rupees. After all, how much more money do you want? So this is how, the Dalit women's honor, rape is normally associated with honor only. So it is equivalent to a very, very small sum of money. And this is what is actually, the whole of society is operated, society operates on these beliefs. If it is a middle class woman, if she is an educated woman, an urban woman, a Hindu woman, yes, it becomes a very serious offense. So the whole of the, yesterday we had this discussion with some of our young friends, and one girl pointed out very correctly that the whole of the uproar about Nirbhaya's rape happened because one thing, it happened in Delhi, second, she was a medical student, third, she came from one of the intermediate castes. If she had been a village woman, this has been happening and it is continuously happening everywhere, in all the rural areas of India, in all the small towns of India, there would not have been such a big uproar. If she had been a woman from a Dalit or a tribal community, there would not have been such mass reactions against it. So many people coming out on the streets and protesting it. Whether that would have happened, that is a thing which we've all seen, that never happens. Even now, there are so many places where rapes take place on a daily basis against tribal women. So, coming next is, there are a lot of rape myths that are there in society. These are myths, these are not true, but we do believe in them, or society as a whole, they look at rape in this fashion only. One is, it's only rough sex, that is, it is sex, but it was a bit rough, that's all. Not as a serious offense. Also, it's something closer to mischief. Those guys, they were just playing. It's not a serious crime. It is something frivolous. Also very, when sex is forced on a woman who is not a consensual partner, other excuses are given, saying those boys, they were only seeking casual entertainment. Or the man says, I was just bored. Or I simply wanted to have fun. We were having fun. So, so even women and girls are socialized into believing that these rapes are crimes of impulse committed by strangers. This is one of the biggest rape myths which is there. I would like to tell you that 98%, around 96 to 98% of all the rapes that happen in India have been committed by a known man. So please remember, every time you are told, don't go out of the house because that is not safe. Stay in the house. So I would say a house is safe, yes, when there is no rapist in it. Outside the house is safe when the rapist is in the house. So we need to remember, it's not the place per se where safety lies. It is where the rapist is. So one is that women knew their rapist, 96 to 98% of the women knew the rapist. The second thing is rapes happened within the home of either the rapist or the victim. Also, another rape myth is this, if a woman wants to have consensual sex with someone, she is an adult, she chooses, she's free to do that, that is seen as her fault. This becomes a big crime. And because she has transgressed the social boundaries that are there for her, she needs to be taught a lesson. She needs to be punished for it. And how does society do it? By using sexual assault against her, by using sexual violence against her. So, the irony is that rape is seen as excusable activity and consensual sex by women is seen as crime. So there are lots and lots of examples of rape culture. One is victim blaming. The other is slut shaming. How do we do it? We say that she asked for it. She was dressed provocatively. So we publicly scrutinize the women's dress. Every time the media talks about a rape, they would say where she was, who she was with, what she was doing, what was her motive. Did she go to the pub? Was she drunk? What is her sexual history? Why does the media need all this? But all this is publicly scrutinized. And this kind of every time, you put the blame on the woman saying that she dressed in a certain manner, she behaved in a certain manner, she was at the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong guy. These are all simply excuses that society gives the man. Every time society says this is giving that rapist out there, that potential rapist or the person who has already committed a rape, he is getting more and more empowered, not the woman. She is being disempowered. Then, as we earlier saw, trivializing sexual assault by saying that boys will be boys. Then there are lots of, rape jokes also, sexual assault jokes, which are there. I think all of you must have, how many of you have seen Three Idiots? So most of you must remember the joke which was there. Constantly using that word balatkar, balatkar, balatkar for chamatkar. I don't know how many of the women who went to the theatre, they were just triggered by that word because they had been raped. So there would have been so many victims of it, or even sitting in their homes and watching it. I mean, it's not a joke. You cannot joke about all these issues. These things affect at least 50% of the population, live in fear all through their lives. Every woman is a potential victim. So every woman, as Geeta was saying, there is so many strategizing that women have to do when they have to access public space. You have to think and plan it in such detail that where am I going, how am I going, how long am I going to be there. It's not just what I'm going to do. What is the image that I'm going to give the other people around? So women have to strategize about so many of these things. They have to live in constant fear and they have to restrict so many of their activities. They want to do so many things, they cannot. And you actually make it a joke and trivialize in a film for the sake of entertainment. This is not entertainment. Also, tolerance of sexual harassment. We talked about street sexual harassment in the morning. There are lots of sexual harassment that takes place in other places also, in workplaces, in campuses, everywhere. And again, this is sought to be trivialized. This is seen as a very, some casual thing happening, or again, the same boys will be boys kind of thing. So these things, and as pointed out earlier, it's even the name that is there, Eve teasing, this is what papers use, this is what even the laws use. So, even the jargon the legal jargon that is there, those things are also, seeing these things in a very, very frivolous and very casual manner, not as a serious crime. So I think it's time we made the effort to use correct words, and call it in the correct and use the proper language for it. Also, our society defines, manhood as being dominant and sexually aggressive, and womanhood as being submissive and sexually passive. So these are again, examples of rape culture only. Also assuming that only promiscuous women get raped. This is not at all true. As Ashwin also pointed out, telling women don't get raped. Not telling the rapist stop, or not telling men don't rape. So what we need to do is tell the rapists don't rape. It's your fault. It's your crime. Why is it that when we are talking about other crimes, like take for example a theft or a pickpocketing or any other crime, we don't seek to excuse the behavior of the offender, do we? We don't seek excuses saying that, oh, probably he did not have money. That is why he must have picked my pocket. Have we ever defended him like this? Why is it that in a case of rape, you every time keep on asking the women, were you doing this? Were you doing that? Were you doing that? And you keep on every time, letting the rapist get away with his actions. It is time we said that it is the rapist who is responsible for the rape, not the woman, not the victim. Also, inflating reports of false rape reports get inflated in the media. There is a huge buzz about it saying that women are filing false cases and this and that. Some few incidents might happen, but this is blown so out of proportion that, immediately there is the other side which is there to say, oh, but all these accusations are, merely accusations. It has not been proved. And they were just because they wanted this, they went and made such an accusation. So these kind of reports, when they get inflated, also this works against the woman. This also contributes to creating the culture of rape. Like I said, everybody begins to sound like the rapist's lawyer, They feel, okay, fine, the victim had rights, yes. But the rapist had his own compulsions, poor guy, what could he do? So this is not the way we need to look at it. A few examples of this. In one case, there was this girl who eloped with a boy she eloped from Haryana, came with him to Delhi. They got married secretly without letting their parents know, because they knew both their parents would oppose. And immediately after this marriage, the guy with his friends, 3 or 4 friends, gang raped the woman. And then the police say the boy and girl were responsible who had done marriage without informing parents. In another case, a judge acquits a man of raping a 4-year-old girl. And the judge's reason is, he lost control of himself as he was living away from his family. So, this guy is the neighbor of that 4-year-old girl. He is a migrant labor, he is a worker coming from far away, from Jharkhand or Bihar to Bombay to work, and he rapes this girl. And the judge says, he is only guilty of sodomy, not rape. And instead of giving him 10 years, they gave him 7 years, they gave him 2 years. So, there is another case in which there was this 6-year-old survivor of rape. Older man raped her. This girl is 6 years old, and the court gives this order saying that the 6-year-old girl is to be married off to the 8-year-old son of the rapist. Why? What did that son do? What is his crime? So the whole concept here is, honor. Rape is defined in every Indian language as loss of honor, not a crime, not as an offense against women. In Hindi, it's called izzat lootna. In Tamil, it's called karpalpu. So you have all these definitions. Every Indian language, it is associated with chastity, with honor, with virginity of the woman. Not something that is done to her body against her will. This concept is absolutely not there anywhere. It is forced sex, rape is forced sex. We need to understand that. So this judgment came, why? Because this girl's family was dishonored. So she would not be able to marry anywhere else. So this family, the guy who was responsible, he would have to take this dishonored girl into his family as his daughter-in-law. That is the logic behind it. Then, of course, blaming modernity and, Western culture, that is there. Women dress, women wear jeans, so they'll get raped. Women eat chow mein or men eat chow mein, they'll get raped. They will go and commit rape. So all these kind of attitudes, it is there. You blame the West for everything and say that all of this is, actually doing away with Indian culture, and we've given up our culture, our cultural values, our traditions, and this and that is why this is happening. So one feminist woman, she asked this question, okay, fine, you blame all the rapes that have taken place in India post-independence on Western culture, true. What happened during Draupadi's, why did Duryodhan behave with Draupadi in that fashion? Was he also influenced by the West? Please tell us which country influenced him. So, also, it is seen, there was one survey which was conducted, and a lot of men responded in the survey, also a lot of women responded, and the major view that came out was, it's okay for a male partner to discipline a female partner is required. So this disciplining is, it could be anything, from beating her to, sexually assaulting her, perhaps. So also seeing marriage as sex in being sex in return for being provided for. So the man provides for the women, and so she gives him sex in return. This is, surprising, but this is the view a lot of people have even now about marriage. Then you also have the racist views about Western women. So many of the Western women who've come to India, they've come as students, they've come as tourists, and I have personally witnessed it. It's terrible. I don't know, when they go back from India, what image they take of this country. But the way they are stalked, they are harassed, they are groped. On the trains, when they walk on the road, on the beaches, and so many of my friends have come and told me this. When they've come from that outside India, when this happens, every time, they are questioned. Do you drink? Do you smoke? What were you wearing? What were you doing? Were you partying? Were you in a pub? How do all these questions matter? So this is, when we are talking about all these rape myths and examples of rape culture, I want you to look at what Geeta Ramaseshan, she is a lawyer, she is also a feminist, she is a lawyer in Chennai High Court, what she says about all these kind of, this culture and this moral policing that happens constantly, what she's talking, let's look at it.
Geeta Ramaseshan, as a well-known lawyer in the city, an activist as well, do you think our laws are sufficient? We have provisions in the Indian Penal Code to deal with this sort of hooliganism.
I don't think you need any law at all. What you need is enforcement of the law, and that's the whole problem in the Indian context. It is a repeating incident, and the concern here is that it's increasing. It is interpretation of what others perceive as right and wrong, of what the man on the road feels what I should do or should not do. It is intolerant. There is a large tinge of religious fundamentalism in this issue, and what you require is absolute enforcement and not allow fringe groups to get away with whatever they want. You project yourself as an international city. Women work late shifts, women work late hours, women are on their own. Migrant women from other cities stay in Chennai. But suddenly you have the mindset of the police frozen in such a way that, they are not able to address or look into these various different identities that women have emerged out into today. So what you then see is a woman driving alone. If she's dressed in trousers and if she is on her own, you immediately think of her as someone who has, you become suspicious of her conduct in more ways than one.
I drive myself everywhere, and every time I'm out in the night, I'm more concerned about the cops than I am about anything else.
Why is that so?
Because you don't want to be stopped late in the night and ask questions about your moral character, which is always what happens. They'll ask you for your license, but after that they'll question where you've been and whether you were dancing or drinking or partying, and it's nobody's business.
So I think this is becoming more and more common in every city in India. This kind of thing, this is actually moral policing. This is not going to protect women against rape. This is going to get more and more women raped. When we are doing this, we are telling the rapists, okay, fine, it's all right for you to do what you want. It's the women who have to. It's again, the same, don't get raped advice that is being given to the women again and again. So just take, let's take a look at some of the things that people have said. So, as I said, trivializing, this is the, worst example of trivializing. This is Asaram Bapu. He is talking about the Nirbhaya case, and he says the misconduct would not have happened. I mean, seriously, she was gang raped. Her intestines were, badly damaged, and she died a few days later. And he says misconduct. Okay, next. This is Mohan Bhagwat. He is RSS chief, and he says rapes don't happen in Bharat, which is village, and it happens only in urban India because women have left Indian culture. They have become modern. They've started wearing jeans. They've started wearing t-shirts. They've started going to work in the night hours also. So they've become educated. All of these things are responsible for rape. I mean, there's no such statistics. This is completely false, that statement of his. Women are raped as much in rural India, and fully covered and clothed women are raped. Even in Kashmir, which is one of the coldest places in India, and women are covered from top to bottom in all those heavy clothing, Indian army keeps raping them. So you have rapes happening everywhere. And clothes as an excuse is absolutely, one of the most bogus reasons that could be given. This is the Jamaat-e-Islami Hind Secretary General, Nusrat Ali, and he says co-education should be abolished totally. We want girls to study, but there should be only separate schools. So as Geeta said, in Chennai there are colleges where all these are co-education colleges only, but boys and girls are not allowed to interact. You cannot talk. Forget interacting, you just simply cannot talk. You cannot look. If you are a girl and you talk to a boy, immediately your parents would be summoned the next day and told that you either take the TC or ask your girl to behave. Same thing with the boys also. And they don't have trees, they have this kind of acres big campus, but no trees at all. In the scorching hot sun, why no trees? Because then all the students would be under the trees, they would be all in couples, they would not be studying, and they would get distracted. All these are the kind of reasons that are given. So it's not just men, who make all these kind of comments. The terrible thing is, a lot of women themselves keep on making all these kind of statements. And she is Asha Mirje, Maharashtra Women's Commission member, and she says that why was Nirbhaya out at night at 10 o'clock? So she is responsible. See, again, it is the timing. The timing was wrong, so she was responsible. She was wrong in the wrong place, so she was responsible. Why? She went to watch a movie. So that's something wrong, no? And then she was with her boyfriend, which is again something, against Indian culture. The same kind of thing happens. So here she says that she is inviting or not. Mistakenly she might invite. I don't understand. Invite what? Sexual assault. Right, go on, next. So then you have a lot of these people who keep saying that it is the girls who should be, kept more and more covered. Like one person says girls should wear overcoats while coming to school. The other says school uniforms, skirts should be removed and they should wear salwar kameez. But you have another place, go on, next. Okay. So you have another place. So you have another place here, the DGP says that women have given up traditional attire, they've started wearing salwar kameez. That is the problem. This is provocative. So, even this definition of provocative, they don't have a uniform definition. That changes from person to person, place to place. So, this kind of whole dress codes, they say that women's body is the problem. So, isn't this some kind of a Taliban kind of thing? Every time, we talk about the Taliban, the media and everybody in India is so like, oh God, Taliban is so horrible. But what are you doing? Here, the culture, when you're talking, your language, your words, your statements, it's the Indian equivalent of the Taliban, isn't it? So this is a sitting judge. Again, he says her timing was wrong. She chose the wrong time to travel. Then this is another judge. He says you had sex before marriage, then don't come and cry rape in my court. So he is giving, again, this is a rape, he is giving a judgment in a rape case. So this is the one thing good that happened with this was immediately Delhi High Court pulled him up and he was asked to undergo a gender sensitization program for 1 month. So I think this is something that others should also keep doing and keep enforcing. That when we come across people like this, we should tell them, see, you are not gender sensitive, please get gender sensitivity. And then, this is more than half the people we know, they would be reacting in this manner only. There was one survey in which 74% of the judges, they said preservation of the family is the main work of the woman. So even if she faces domestic violence within the house, she should not leave the house and go out. 51% said that women living even in abusive domestic violence situations, they are responsible for the domestic violence themselves. Then again 68% felt that it was provocative attire. As we have seen in India, provocative attire can mean anything from a sari to a, bikini probably. So the whole range is covered. So what women are supposed to wear, I don't understand. And then 55% also said that the moral character of the women. This, in spite of the rape law, very clearly saying, since the 80s, mid-80s, there was a huge outcry. There was a girl called Mathura. She was a tribal girl. She was raped in Chandrapur district in Maharashtra by policemen. Her husband was asked to stay out and she was taken inside, she was raped. And then the High Court acquitted all these policemen, saying that she did not, there were no physical signs of injury, so she did not resist. One. And second was because she already had a sexual history, she had this past of, she was not a virgin, so she could not have been raped. And they were acquitted. Then there was this huge outcry throughout India. And then the case went to Supreme Court, and then that was when Supreme Court actually amended the rape law, saying that sexual history should not be inquired. When a report of rape comes, you talk to the victim, you find out there are medical reports, there are medical examinations which will be done. Again, this sign of physical injury means she had to resist. You had here one woman saying that when men, there are 4 men, they would rape. If they have this intention to rape, then they would rape. Nirbhaya should not have resisted. This is one argument which comes. Then she would at least have lived. So then there they said that she did not resist strongly enough. If she had resisted, there would have been signs of physical injury. Hence it was not rape. So you have all kinds of excuses to say why it is not rape. We need reasons to say why it is rape. And I think 2 reasons are sufficient. One is, it is forced sex against a woman's will. This is rape. I think we need to understand, we need to accept. And the second is, if a woman willingly, consensually, she has sex with a partner of her choice, that is her right. Nobody, absolutely nobody has the right to question. As long as they are both unattached and they are willing, it's, I think, nobody's right. So the problem, just let this be. The whole problem with moral policing is that it says that there are certain boundaries for the community and you cannot cross these boundaries. So what is the manner of dress that you will wear? We will dictate. What are your expressions? We will dictate. There are codes of conduct, and this differs from person to person. Like we saw here, even all of those persons, they did not have any uniform view on what is the right conduct or right behavior or right dress for a woman. One felt that this was right, the other felt even that was wrong. So how can we lay down these conditions? There are fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution to everyone in this country. So women are free to choose what they wear. Women are free to express themselves in any manner they desire to do so. Dress code also, there is a very deep-rooted problem with this whole idea of dress code. It inherently says that women's bodies need to be controlled because they are distracting. Distracting to whom? When you're talking about a college, it is the students. And who gets distracted? It is the default student who gets distracted is obviously male. So, right from a very small age, we don't teach children that don't look at women as an object. She is not a sexual object. She is not your entitlement. You are not entitled to woman. She is a woman. She is a human being as you are. So see her as a person. Respect her body as you would respect your own body. This is something I think we need to teach our children. Girls don't have responsibility for boys' responses. Every time you say he could not control himself, why? I mean, doesn't he have a choice? Like if the girl had a choice not to wear jeans, not to go out in the night, not to go for work, not to hang out with her boyfriend, not to go to parties, not to drink, well, society every time tells the girl, you made a wrong choice. But why doesn't it ask the boy, why didn't you make the correct choice? He has a choice. When he sees a woman alone, he doesn't have to rape her, does he? When is there some law? Is it biologically ordained? Nothing like that. He can make a choice. I will just ignore and walk away. Okay? I'll see her, I'll say hi and go away. Or I'll just go on do my work. I don't have to see her and immediately decide, okay, fine, she is vulnerable, so I'm going to rape her. Do I? If I'm a man, I have that choice. As a man, as a boy, I can also make responsible choices, can't I? So the impact of rape culture is there on the entire society. It affects every woman. The rape of one woman is the degradation, terror and limitation of every woman. So most of the women and girls, they tend to limit their behavior because of the existence of rape. Most of the women live in the fear of rape. Men in general do not. This is the crucial difference that we need to understand. This is how the whole rape functions as a powerful tool by which the whole female population is held in a subordinate position to the whole of the male population. Even though many men don't rape. I don't say all men are rapists, definitely not. And many women are not victims of rape. All women also don't get raped, but still that constant fear, that constant limit that you have to set yourself, you have to define for yourself. Every time I do something, even when I look at somebody and smile or I want to talk, I need to think of the consequences. Will it lead to rape? Or can I do it? Is it safe? So this kind of a situation that we are creating, this cycle of fear, this is the legacy of rape culture. And this is why we need to be aware of rape culture. So there is no space in our society to explore sexuality in a healthy manner. Men and women don't interact with each other in a healthy manner, in a trustful manner. There's this always constant mistrust. So relationships should be based on mutual trust, respect and honesty. So how to combat rape culture? So what can we, individually, what can all of us do when we see this kind of culture, this whole kind of socialization, this kind of thing being ingrained in our minds every day? So what can we do? First is we change the way we look at rape. Rape is a crime that violates the bodily integrity of a woman. Rape means forced sex and not lost virginity or chastity or honor. We need to be very, very clear about this. Also, we need to acknowledge that everybody's bodies, their lives and their sexuality belongs to themselves. Nobody else has the right to control it. Again, words matter. Casual words from the people in positions of authority and responsibility and influence, they matter even more. So when we see somebody making such a statement, immediately call them out and say that please don't make all these rape apologies. Please hold the person responsible for his crime. Also, we need to take a clear stand that rape and sexual violence is totally unacceptable, intolerable. It's really good to see the zero tolerance for sexual violence in the campuses here. Looking at it every day, all the students, whether they are boys or girls, they would somewhere, in the back of their minds, it would register. And when some incident happens somewhere, you see it. you would be reminded constantly, you would be reminded of this, oh no, this is not right, this is wrong. So that is a very good thing. And taking it further, if you could organize trainings saying that we will not tolerate sexual violence against women, we will not tolerate rape, and trying to generally sensitize society as a whole, that would be a very, very good starting point. And we also need to change the attitude where force is, we also need to, change the attitude of seeing forced sex as, some frivolous or trivial matter. We need to very clearly say that force is wrong and consent is a choice. Everybody can make that choice. And society needs to understand that no consent means no sex. Men are not naturally entitled to sex. Sex without consent equals rape. Also, there should be the certainty of consequences. Right now, the conviction rate for rape in India is hardly 26%. And the conviction rate for rape of Dalit and Muslim women is 0%. So, there should be consequences, and by consequences, I do not mean the death penalty. I'm not in favor of the death penalty. I would say that imprisonment, yes, rape laws say that 7 years imprisonment in case of a first offense, 10 years if it is second, or 10 years if it is Dalit or an Adivasi woman. So these things should be implemented, trial should be fast, it should be done. And without harassing the woman. The victim of rape, the whole process of trial for her is another huge experience of rape for her. This is why so many women actually don't come and report. So all the incidents that we've talked about is only the reported cases. There are, statistics are actually very, very wide, and it is very difficult to even find out how many women don't report such incidents that have happened to them. Then also, just want to clarify why I said I don't support death penalty, because it is seen that normally, first is we have all the judges and we have seen all the lawmakers, everybody with all this typical patriarchal mindset. So they would forever go on seeking excuses for the man, for the offender, not for the victim. And second is, wherever the penalty is more harsh, judges tend to, give lesser punishments. So by default, the guy would get away with it simply because here the penalty is more. So this is one reason why I do not want death penalty for rape. But I do want conviction, I do want immediate imprisonment, and some fixed and serious consequence, which the men should understand that this is the consequence, so it would stop. Also, every act of sexual violence, harassment needs to be taken seriously, even if there is no grievous physical injury. So I would also like you to just take a look at this, picture. There is this short video of moral policing which happens. So please take a look at this. So this is, this is absolutely moral policing at its worst. And this is not just one incident. We have every year, you have on Valentine's Day, you have it. Now on Friendship Day also you have it. There are these vigilante groups which go around seeking couples who are there together, and then they are forced to do all these, one, they are beaten up, they are harassed, or they are punished all these ways. It's not just the vigilante groups which do it. Police also have been doing it in several states. State Women's Commission have been doing it in several states. After Nirbhaya's rape and murder, in Madhya Pradesh, police has formed a squad called the Nirbhaya Squad, and this is exactly what that squad also does. They go around wherever they see young boys and girls, especially college students and all, they'll immediately pick them up, they call their parents, they'll insult them, humiliate them, harass them, and this is not going to protect women. This is not going to give safety to women from rape. This is in fact contributing more to rape culture. We need to understand that. So we need to understand that we should not contribute towards rape culture. I'd request all of you to keep these things in mind. Okay, thank you. questions?